Welcome to Contemporary Retirement. Contemporary Retirement is a public interest program focused on the retirement community. Every program has segments on legal, financial, and health issues affecting the retirement community. Contemporary Retirement is sponsored in part by a major grant from the Family Heritage Trust Company.
Contemporary Retirement is sponsored by Family Heritage Trust Company. The Family Heritage Trust Company is an independent bank chartered trust company established by local professionals to provide fiduciary services including fee-based investment advice, trust services, retirement planning, and tax planning. The Family Heritage Trust Company is committed to client service in our communities. For more information, call the Family Heritage Trust Company at 301-631-5900.
Contemporary Retirement is sponsored in part by a grant from R. Thomas Murphy & Associates, P.C. R. Thomas Murphy & Associates is one of Franklin County's leading law firms, emphasizing estate, trust, elder law, and medical assistance planning.
Welcome to the Is It Legal feature on Contemporary Retirement. Is It Legal focuses on the legal issues affecting the retirement community. With me today is Tom Murphy from the R. Thomas Murphy Law Firm with offices Waynesboro, Chambersburg, and McConnellsburg. Welcome to the show, Tom.
Good morning.
Tom, we just did a sequence on This Means You.
Right.
And part of the problem that we have here is there's just a sequence of buzzwords out there that people just subscribe to. And our challenge as elder law attorneys is to try to stop that subscription that these buzzwords are accurate.
Yeah, you hear all kinds of stuff, and the biggest misperception is that you can't do anything, and if you're in a nursing home and there's all these rules, they're going to get you and they're going to take your stuff, and it's just the opposite.
Well, the entire premise of the public out there, and it's just repeated over and over again. It's part of the reason we've done this show for 20 years. We do radio and seminars is try to educate people that when you're being told there's nothing you can do, that is just, you hear it pervasively everywhere. That statement is almost uniformly wrong. There are many things you can do.
Exactly, and usually the admission to a nursing home is the starting point. So even if you hadn't done anything prior to that, you can then take control of the situation. We can always achieve a positive outcome.
Well, the reality is for most couples, they think they come see an elder law attorney. I can tell you 75% of them are shocked when we're telling them you don't need a trust. You don't need to do any fancy stuff. You just need to have a few documents in place that will allow us to efficiently manage the process. People fail to do documents. We can normally figure out how to help them too, but you're now using complicated and lawyer in the same sentence.
Well, exactly. And so in a pre-crisis situation, everybody ought to get their documents in order, because then that allows you to do the complicated stuff when it's necessary.
And the primary driver for this, and it's one of the problems that we had in the last sequence, is that Maryland has a statutory power of attorney. Any power of attorney done prior to 2010 needs to be redone. As we were saying in the last sequence, this means you.
Well, absolutely. And the same is true for, Pennsylvania's changed their laws, so anything after 15 needs to comply with certain standards. You might have a valid power of attorney, but it may not be adequate. And again, you're doing this for third parties, and if they don't see the magic words, they typically will give you a hard time.
And particularly with the Pennsylvania power of attorney, there's a trap, the optional gifting that many people select when they don't understand what they're doing is actually not in their interest. It sets them up for failure.
Exactly, and so that's one of the biggest clauses and choices that families are given, and if you don't choose properly or you're not advised properly, you've just cut off your options.
And we find many lawyers don't understand it as well.
Exactly.
And estate planners on whole worry about a concept of regarding how much you can give away, which is totally irrelevant in this process.
Right.
In Maryland, the statutory form, you take it off the internet, you don't have the authority to do Medicaid planning, and we just cannot drive home enough that you must do it right. Now, why is all that important? Well, you've done your preliminary plan. You've done it the easy way. We have the right documents in place. So now you're a married couple and one of the spouses is admitted to the nursing home. That nursing home is going to tell you there's nothing you can do. Your friends, neighbors, relatives are going to tell you there's nothing you can do. Lawyers, CPAs, financial planners are going to tell you there's nothing you can do. Is that statement valid?
No, it's not. that's when you start doing something, because there are rules out there to protect the married couple, and if you take advantage of them, you're going to protect your wealth and the quality of life for the healthy spouse.
You know, the fact of the matter is there's a statute in 1987 called the Spousal Anti-Impoverishment Act of 1987. It's an act of Congress that says healthy spouses are not to be impoverished by the long-term care costs of a spouse in a nursing home. And yet every day people are being told there's nothing they can do.
Right, and they're being forced to spend money that would otherwise be used to protect that healthy spouse.
When I first started doing this work in Washington County over 20 years ago, the Department of Social Services called it the Mike Day gimmick.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't a Mike Day gimmick, it's an act of Congress.
Exactly. These are laws and there's rules, and yet it's as if nursing homes and you know the state and the counties ignore it.
Well, and it's to their interest, because the public has been convinced that once you have somebody in a nursing home, it's all over now. There's nothing you can do. We actually discourage spouses from making gifts because, first of all, I don't care what the relative health of one spouse or the other is, you have no idea which one's going to be in the nursing home first.
Exactly. And so, you know, if the family just running over with money, that's one thing. But to give away money thinking that's going to somehow solve a long-term care problem is the wrong answer.
And they think they have to do it before they're in the nursing home. But the reality is both Pennsylvania, Maryland, federal law allows transfers between husband and wife that do not affect eligibility for benefits. So you don't have to jump through all of these hoops in order to get ready, because you can do it after the person is in the nursing home.
Right, and you don't need to have her name or his name on stuff. It doesn't matter. Those aren't the critical rules.
And so most people think the admission to the nursing home is the shut-off point for being able to do planning, but from our perspective, it is really the call to action, and we do 95% of the active strategies we engage in, we do not engage in until after the person is in the nursing home.
Exactly. I liken it to you don't treat for cancer till you have cancer, and this is the same scenario.
Tom, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on the program.
You're welcome.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
Few things in life are as important as family. Leave your insurance worries to us. Write Gardner. Call or visit our website to learn how we can make insurance simple and more affordable.
Every life that meets its end leaves a heart for love to mend. Sister, brother, family, friends are left to carry on. When the loss seems more than you can bear, it's nice to know that we'll be there at Douglas A. Fiery Funeral Home. We care.
Call Ed Lough to help put your mind at ease.
Welcome to special guest feature on Contemporary Retirement. This segment focuses on various issues which are of importance to the retirement community. With me is Christina Forbes, who we normally have on the show as Daybreak of Frederick County, but today you're here in another capacity. What's that?
I am wearing a different hat today, Michael. I am president of the Frederick County Elder Services Provider Council, and we're gearing up for our 26th annual Elder Expo.
All right, so let's talk a little bit. What is an expo?
So the Expo is an event where multiple vendors, in this case we have 77 senior care experts who will be on display at the Frederick County Fairgrounds on October 3rd to share a wealth of information with seniors, their caregivers, and professionals in the community.
Now, one of the beauties of that facility is it can hold a lot of people.
A lot of people, and we do have a lot of people come through. This is a very popular event. Experts ranging from in-home care providers, assisted livings, nursing homes, dentists, healthcare providers, insurance representatives, legal experts. So many opportunities for people to get a lot of information in a very short period of time.
And so once again, what day is that?
So this is October 3rd, Wednesday, October 3rd. The expo runs from 9 until 2. I should also mention there's free health screenings, Michael. We have staff from Frederick Memorial Hospital there doing cardiac screenings, a pharmacist doing a medication consultation, and staff helping folks complete advanced directives. We'll also have flu shots, and seniors get a free lunch, and there's lots and lots of door prizes and giveaways.
How about parking?
Well, we know the fairground isn't the ideal place to park, but there's lots and lots of spaces. So plenty of parking with accessible handicap parking close to the building. So as long as the weather's good, we're in great shape.
All right, and so it's actually in 2 buildings because it's so big.
It is in 2 buildings. So in the main Eventplex building is where the vendors will be set up. It's lots of space, easy to navigate, to walk, whether you have a walker or a wheelchair or on your feet. Plenty of room to move and circulate to talk to those vendors. Just across the way in Building 9 is where we'll have the lunch for seniors.
All right, and what is the cost of participating in this?
Absolutely free and no registration required for that event. For the Elder Expo on Wednesday, no registration required.
So 9 to 2, just show up on
Show up, absolutely. Come and have a great time. Get a lot of information.
And vendors are typically there all day, and they're talking to people and giving out information that might be useful, whether it be flyers or talking about specific needs that they might have.
Right, whether you need the service now or later, it's a great way, again, to get lots of information in a short period of time.
And oftentimes we find that people who are just beginning to address these issues are not aware of the breadth of the services that are available.
Michael, Frederick County has so much to offer for our seniors and for their caregivers, so this is a great opportunity. And if I can mention, we also have a special event the night before specifically designed for caregivers.
And what might that be?
So that's our caregiver conference, Michael. We're bringing in a national speaker. Her name is Amy Goyer. She is AARP's family and caregiving expert. She herself is a lifelong caregiver and also a professional in the field, and will share lots of very practical, useful information in a funny and engaging way for caregivers.
Slight difference between that and the Expo, and that you do have to reserve.
That's
What's
right.
the cost?
Space is limited. It is free, Michael, but we do require a registration. We encourage those caregivers to call and register. We also encourage them to come early from 4 until 6 on Tuesday night, October 2nd. They will be able to visit the Expo booths, to visit all of those vendors, get a lot of information again in a very short period of time. We'll sweeten the deal by offering a free dinner. At 5 o'clock, box dinners will be available for pickup. And then at 6 o'clock, they'll be able to hear the speaker. And to make it even easier, we know caregivers often have a hard time getting out of the house without their loved one, so Daybreak will be providing caregiving services on site at the fairgrounds.
Wow.
Yeah,
Pretty...
no excuses, Michael. Everybody should come.
All right, so once again, let's start with October 2nd is the pre-event.
That's right.
Registration required. How can they register?
So to register for the Caregiver Conference, they can call 240-490-4181, or they can register online at www.espcfrederickcounty.com.
And that event is free, but you must register.
Must register.
And then on the following day, on Wednesday, no registration.
No registration. Just come and enjoy.
Lots and lots of people, lots of fun.
Lots of fun. It's a great day. We're excited. 28 years, and we're already planning ahead for next year.
Well, Christina, great program. Congratulations on having a second job.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on
Thanks
the program.
for having us.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
Tranquility at Fredericktown Assisted Living and Memory Care provides a warm, home-like atmosphere that promotes daily life enrichment. At Tranquility, our medical director is a geriatric physician. Our professionals support and understand the various stages associated with Alzheimer's and dementia. We have on-site physical, occupational, and speech therapists, as well as around-the-clock licensed nurses. For more information, give Tranquility at Fredericktown a call today, because everyone deserves great care. Let us do the caregiving so you and your loved one can embrace life again.
Dad, there's the big one. There's the big one.
Just wait.
There's the monster.
Just one more bid on hurleyauctions.com. I got it!
If you haven't visited hurleyauctions.com, you don't know what you're missing. Whether you're buying or selling, antique cars, tractors, boats, or real estate, you can do it all at hurleyauctions.com.
Get to know Dr. Carrie Hesley at Diagnostic Imaging Services.
What I find most rewarding is caring for women through our Women's Imaging Center. We have a caring staff that will ease patients through an ultrasound, bone densitometry, breast biopsy, or mammogram. Our health team is sensitive to emotions involved in women's imaging and understands that every woman is at risk for breast cancer. Providing the community with a center that is so dedicated to breast health and the imaging needs of women is something special.
DIS Women's Imaging Center, providing women with progressive care.
Welcome to Contemporary Health Scene. Contemporary Health Scene focuses on the health issues affecting the retirement community. With me today is Paul Sweeney, President of Quality First Insurance. Welcome to the show, Paul.
Thanks for having me this morning, Mike.
Paul, as always, when we introduce you on the health segment, why are you on our health segment?
Well, because we deal with a specialized type of insurance product for people that are retired.
Health insurance.
Health insurance, exactly.
And so as we look at that, we saw a lot of confusion in that industry, which was fairly well eliminated in the early 90s. What transition was that all about?
Well, in the early 90s, Medicare standardized their supplemental insurance programs, which didn't mean a lot to people at the time that it happened, but it does make it easier for people to make a comparison from one insurance carrier to another.
So it was wild, wild west out there. Every policy was different. Terms within the policies could mean differing things. And so in the early 90s, we got these standardized policies. And then really for almost 20 years, not a lot of thought required. Just look at to see which one of them suited you the best.
And then in 2010, there was a kind of an upgrade of the products. It was called the modernized plans. They standardized them in 1992, and then they modernized them in 2010. And what they did is they kind of fine-tuned the programs. They kind of eliminated some that were duplicating benefits, and then they added a couple of extra plans.
And then, of course, with the advent of Part D, several of the plans had a very limited prescription drug plan, not very good by Part D standards at all.
Right. Originally, Medicare Part D prescription drug plans didn't come about until 2006. So from 1992 to 2006, there were plans H, I, and J that had a prescription drug benefit associated with it, but they were very limited in scope. Most of them were capped at $1,250.
It's essentially trading dollars with the insurance company, with them collecting a premium.
Right. The premium just went up dramatically if you added that particular benefit, and you're exactly right. You were just paying for the amount of money you might get back out of the policy.
But with 2006, and we have the advent of Part D, where these are effective prescription drug plans. Not necessarily good, but effective.
Right, and I talk to people today, and they don't realize that before 2006, there really was no option for somebody to get a prescription drug benefit. Before 2006, Medicare did not have a prescription drug benefit. So people today that are signing up for it are kind of questioning, well, why is it designed this way? You know, it was designed this way because it was brand new in 2006. And
60% of Medicare recipients did not have a prescription plan in 2005.
Right, you're exactly right. And a lot of people were anxious to get the programs. They signed them up. There's about, well, back then there were about 40 different programs that were available for people to use. Now there's about a little bit more than 20 in the state of Maryland. Pennsylvania's a little bit different. But the programs are designed to help pay for prescription drug costs. And there's something that a lot of people have heard about. It's called the coverage gap, or a lot of people call it the donut hole, that is actually going away over the next couple of years.
Yeah, and so people can complain all they want about the Affordable Care Act. You and I don't agree on it, but in terms of the retirement community, in fact, it is a benefit. It's not a negative, and yet they sort of pipe into that chirping that it's all bad for everybody.
Right. The Affordable Care Act did address the prescription drug plan and is in the process of eliminating the Part D donut hole or coverage gap. And in 2020, there's going to be just standardized coverage for everything. There's not going to be a donut hole any longer.
Who knows? But in any event, but in terms of the retirement communities, we oftentimes talk, you can debate all you want, the under 65, whether it's a good plan or not, but it's the over 65, it really is a benefit.
Absolutely. And we're counseling people all the time. And the big tough part for people is when they retire, a lot of people aren't retiring at age 65 any longer. They're continuing to work for another year or two because they can't draw full Social Security benefits until beyond age 66 now. So there's a lot of debate as to whether it's a good idea to stay with the group plan that I'm on right now, or do I go on to Medicare, and when do I go on to Medicare?
And that's part of the counseling that you do, because in fact you have to be very careful about when you opt into the Part B premium, because you can actually foul up a benefit that you're entitled to if you opt into it when it wasn't necessary.
Yeah, unfortunately we see that all the time. So if you sign up for Part B of Medicare, which there's a cost associated with, too early, you may lose your guaranteed issue period. It's called open enrollment for 6 months, and if you sign up for it too early, you may not have that any longer.
Everybody hears you're supposed to do it, and the answer is if you are 65 and you're not covered by an employer plan, then you probably need to be signing up for that Part B premium. Very few exceptions as to that. But if you're already continuing to stay employed by an employer plan, you don't need to sign up for Part B, and you're also potentially giving up a benefit that you would have had.
That's 100% correct, Mike. If you're on a group plan and you're covered by that plan, do not sign up for Medicare Part B.
Paul, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on the program.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
More from Contemporary Retirement after these messages.
The Community Foundation continues to create great impact in Frederick County, thanks to generous donors. As our community evolves, so do we. While we don't have a real crystal ball that can predict the future, we are poised and ready to see things differently and help nonprofits, city and county agencies, civic groups, faith-based organizations, businesses, families, and individuals to solve problems within our community.
Albright Crumbacker Mal and Idtel are a full-service firm that provides elder care services including managing incoming bills, bill payment, depositing checks, balancing bank statements, and preparing, planning, and filing personal tax returns. Put your mind at ease and call us today.
Welcome to the Making Sense feature on Contemporary Retirement. This segment focuses on various financial issues which are of importance to the retirement community. With me today is Ed Lough, financial advisor at Northwestern Mutual. Welcome to the show, Ed.
Thank you. Good morning.
You know, Ed, one of the ironies of you appearing on this show is oftentimes what we're going to be talking about is not in terms of selling a product to a client, but it's the passion that you and I have had for many years to protect our clients from some abusive products which have been sold to them. And oftentimes they have absolutely no idea what the product actually is.
Yeah, all life insurance policies, unfortunately, are not equal. There are many different types of contracts sold by mutual companies and then others sold by stock companies.
And part of the issue here is there, for many years, when I first started practicing 40 couple of years ago, there were only two types of policies. There was a whole life product, which you made this level premium, you paid the premium, and when you died, you got a death benefit. And then there were term policies in which you knew you're only purchasing coverage for certain periods of time. If you failed to die during that time, you paid a lot less premium, but the insurance company got to keep your money.
That's true. And then around the early to mid 80s, there was a new product that hit the market called Universal Life, which was sort of a hybrid of a whole life contract.
And oftentimes people thought during that period, and for the next 20 years or so, we saw a ton of these products being sold, that the insurance company was making too much money. So the insurance company essentially offered the person an opportunity to participate in the investments, but exchanged for which they didn't realize they were taking a risk that their policy may not pay a death benefit.
Well, that's true, and despite the fact that in the early days they paid very high rates of interest, the most important differential, I would say, in that product is the fact that annually the internal cost of the life insurance premium increases.
Well, one of the things that we find is almost everybody that has one of these products don't understand that they have it. And they don't understand that if you continue that product for a period of time and you fail to die, if you die early, it's really not a problem. But most of us don't like to make a bet that requires that we die early.
That's true. And you know, the downside of that product, again, is that internal cost of insurance increasing. And in the older ages, it just gets phenomenally expensive.
Now, I know half our viewership is saying, I don't have one of these things. I don't need to pay attention to this thing. But we're going to have cameraman Clint hit this page right here. And what we're going to see is if you get a statement that looks like this on your insurance policy each year, you've got a problem. And we can see on this policy right here that it's going to erode in cash value about $5,000, that the cost of insurance, this is this number right over here, is $11,000 for 1 year of continuing coverage for a person who's getting older. And what it means is that they got a letter from the insurance company saying if you want to continue this policy, you're going to have to start now making an annual premium payment of in excess of $11,000.
That's correct, and that you see that cost of insurance there, Mike, at $11,537. That's going to actually be a larger number when they get their report next year in March.
Because it's based upon their attained age. And so what people don't realize is if you're getting a statement that looks like that on your life insurance, in light of the rates that have been paid for the last 10 years, you probably have a policy that may never pay a death benefit if you live too long.
That's right. So this client is 75 years old, and he's put $160,000 of premium in this contract from the day he bought it at $5,000 a year. The letter they just received said they have to pay over $11,000 this year of premium just in order to keep that product.
For 1 year?
For 1 year. And of course, next year that cost of insurance is going to go up. And the guy's in very good health, so by the time he's 80 years old, there's not going to be a policy in place at all. In fact, maybe even earlier than that.
And so what we caution people about in these things, you need to understand what they say. And the fact is, if you're sitting here at 50 to 60 years old with one of these policies, you're in good health, you're going to have to think about replacing that policy. And one of the ironies is this client actually had two policies. One was a traditional whole life product through Northwestern Mutual. Original death benefit was $250,000, but with the same $5,000 annual premium. What's the value of that policy today as a death benefit?
The death benefit on that policy is over $1.1 million because of the dividends increasing the death benefit, and the cash value is over $800,000. This client put $200,000 to date into that contract, has over $800,000 of cash, $1.1 million of death benefit, compared to the $5,000 in that contract where he has $18,000 of cash value.
Which is going to be gone next year.
Which is going to be gone next year if he doesn't put in the $11,000.
Yeah, and so what people don't realize, there is no free lunch here. When we're looking at these older policies, sometimes you have to look at a person and say, I want to cash that thing in before I waste away the last of that cash value and keep that annual, but I have no death benefit, whereas if you had had a traditional whole life product, that policy would still be alive. And if you bought it from a mutual, meaning that you're part owner of the company, you would have gotten those dividends.
You'd have gotten those dividends, and in the case we just talked about, the death benefit at $250,000 40 years ago is now $1.1 million.
Ed, as always, thanks for taking time to appear on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you from Contemporary Retirement.
Remember a more carefree time? Leave your insurance worries to us, Wright Gardner. Call or visit our website to learn how we can make insurance simple and more affordable.
These days, it seems like everything's online, and filling out claim forms and receiving and paying bills online isn't always easiest. That's why we at Quality First Insurance encourage you to just give us a call. Let us help.
Hi there, I'm Paul Sweeney with Quality First Insurance, and it's still just this simple. Our offices are open every weekday where you'll be able to call and speak to real, live people.
No detail was missed. I'm so glad that I turned to Quality First Insurance.
I've recommended Quality First Insurance to my friends who've been just as satisfied.
If you're not happy with what you're paying for Medigap, or more importantly, not happy with your service, give us a try. We're locally owned, and we take the time to provide you with the best. We are Quality First Insurance, and our mission is to provide quality products to quality people. Pick up the phone and give us a call today at 800-745-1411.